Welcome to Creating Your Own CRAs using the CRA template. After viewing this video, you will be able to locate the CRA template, identify 3 different ways to use the CRA template, and describe the 10 steps for creating your own CRAs. Before we begin, think about your knowledge of CRAs. Would you say you're very unfamiliar, unfamiliar, familiar, or very familiar with CRAs? If you chose either of the first 2 answers, we encourage you to spend time reading through the CRAs available on this site, as well as reviewing the other resources available before continuing, as the contents of this video are most helpful to those with a solid understanding of CRAs. A good place to begin is by watching the Anatomy of a CRA video, located on the resources page of the craftx.org website. Throughout this video, we will refer to elements of the CRA template. Although we will frequently use screenshots, you may wish to have a copy of the CRA template open yourself. The template is located on the resources page of the craftx.org website in the Guides to Using CRAs section. If needed, feel free to pause this video and resume when you are ready. As you know, there are 50 CRAs available in the 4 core disciplines, as well as some cross-disciplinary CRAs that are suitable for any course. Also, the CRAs are designed to model instruction and activities that can be fairly easily adapted to different types of content. However, we realize that some instructors may wish to actually create new versions of the CRAs for new content, which is why we created the editable CRA template document. The CRA template, as you can see, is set up just like the CRAs and scoring guides, containing all the same sections and giving an outline for instructors to fill in content. Items that stay the same for every or almost every CRA are in black type, while items that need to be filled in by the instructor are in orange type. The orange type also includes a brief instruction for the type of information that should be included in that particular section, paragraph, or bullet. The footnote on the CRA template is also different from the regular CRAs. Rather than a copyright notice, it includes a disclaimer that indicates that this new CRA is based on the CRA format and ideals, but has not been field tested by the craft team. The CRA template is a great tool for instructors who wish to alter a current CRA, put components of different CRAs together, or even create a CRA from scratch. From scratch is in quotes here because we encourage instructors not to just dive in and type away into the template, but rather to use the CRAs and the guiding comments in this video to create a CRA that encourages skill development while meeting the specific needs of your course. If you are attempting number 1 or number 2, it is likely that you already know what you want to do and are just using the CRA template to create a clean, altered version of a CRA or a compilation of CRA components. Feel free to use the CRA template to accomplish this. We ask only that you maintain the integrity of the document and of the ideals behind CRAs. If, however, you wish to create a CRA from scratch, we would like to offer you a strategy for approaching this. Just like any good lesson plan, there are 3 cornerstones around which a CRA is constructed. The skills it seeks to develop, for example, working collaboratively, critical thinking, and intellectual curiosity. The activities and assessment students will engage in, for example, some individual reading, a group presentation, and a brief essay. And the content or topic that frames it, for example, the Cold War, logarithmic functions, or cell structures. Any CRA should begin with these 3 elements, for an instructor must know what they want students to learn, how they want students to learn it, and how students will demonstrate mastery of what they learned. It's very possible that you may start out with only 1 cornerstone in mind, so it's important that you decide what the other cornerstones will be before you begin working with the CRA template. One way to do this is to use the existing CRAs as examples. Let's say you have specific math teaks in mind that you want to develop in your students. Before you move on, you need to decide what activities you will have the students engage in and what the overall topic will be. You could look through the existing math CRAs for ideas. You can also search the CRA PDFs by typing the name of a skill or even its TEAKS number into the search box on craftx.org. This will result in a list of all the PDFs on the site that mention that particular skill. Perhaps instead you know which activities you want students to complete. For example, a classroom debate and a brief essay. In this case, you could look at the CRA debate, The Art of Persuasion, to see which topics and skills it mentions. Also, you can once again use the search box to locate CRAs that include a particular activity, for example, 2-page essay, and review these CRAs for ideas. Finally, maybe you only have a topic in mind that you want to cover, for example, the Civil War. You could use a similarly themed CRA, like the Cold War and Oral History, as an example of skills and activities involved. Also, you could review other CRAs in that discipline, or even CRAs in other disciplines that have activities and skills that would be beneficial to your classroom. Whichever method you use, remember that you need to have at least a basic idea of your 3 cornerstones before you move into creating your CRA. Once you do, you can begin filling in the CRA template. Now that you understand the cornerstones, we will take you through the 10 easy steps to creating a new CRA. Step 1 is cornerstones. Begin to fill in the CRA template by taking your cornerstones and using them to fill in the parts of the template you already know. From the topic, you can fill in the title of the CRA, the subject, and the task level. Remember to add the CRA title to the header as well. From the activities and skills you've chosen, you can fill in the brief description at the beginning of the CRA. In addition, you can use the skills you've chosen to complete the CCRS and TEKS tables beginning on page 8 of the template. The CRA template includes instructions of how to fill in the tables by copying and pasting information found in the CCRS and TEKS, links to both of which are in the template. Add and delete rows and sections as necessary. Though this is a more labor-intensive step, it is very important to both the assessment of student work and the demonstration of the rigor of the CRA you design. Once you have all the cornerstone pieces filled in, you are ready to begin fleshing out the content of the CRA. Begin by filling out the remainder of the overview section, including objectives, prior knowledge, and key concepts and terms. Do not fill out the preparation and timeframe sections now. We will come back to these in a later step. As you approach each section, use the instructions in the CRA template to guide you. Remember that each of these elements should be an extension of the cornerstones you've set up, so they should relate to and expand upon the topic, skills, and activities you've chosen. Now that you have the basic outline of the CRA complete, you should continue by organizing the instructional plan. You may prefer to draft the instructional plan outside the CRA template and then copy and paste it into the document, or you might like to dive right in and rearrange items as you think through them. First, you need to flesh out the activities that you've chosen. You may have already decided that the students will complete a worksheet in class, participate in group discussion, and write a final paper. Now you need to think through the details of these activities. As you develop the activities, remember that they should be a direct extension of the CCRS and TEKS you've chosen. CRAs, like most great lessons, are inquiry-based, meaning they focus on skill development and ask students to step away from memorization and think more deeply about information. Often students are asked to respond to a hypothetical scenario or extrapolate from a known set of data. For example, in desegregation, fact or myth, students complete a timeline, but they do so by listening to classmates' reports, and rather than being asked to memorize the dates, they are asked to examine them, analyze the progression of events, and identify what is missing based on their current day understanding of desegregation. Likewise, in the CRA Cells, the Inside Story, rather than asking students to simply complete a diagram of cell components, the CRA asks students to create a scrapbook of their favorite organelles and speculate about how a cell might function without one or more of its components. Once you have completed a draft of the activities, we recommend that you think about what students will need to do and in what order to work toward the activities and assessments you've chosen. Consider the goals and objectives of each section. The Getting Started section should introduce the topic, lay out what you're going to be doing, why and how, and include preliminary brainstorming activities. The Investigating section should offer students opportunities for diving in, exploring, reading, researching, and beginning to make connections. Finally, the drawing conclusions section should include analysis, working on a final product, revising, and completing all activities. Remember that you do not need to reinvent the wheel with your instructional plan. There are 50 tested and verified CRAs on the craftx.org website that can serve as examples and models to you as you complete your instructional plan. For the finishing touches on the instructional plan, you will need to complete the scaffolding, solutions, preparation, and time frame sections. For the scaffolding section, consider what students of differing abilities will need to complete the CRA successfully. Again, the existing CRAs are great models of how to construct a scaffolding section. The solutions section should include any guidelines needed to assess student work products. While the scoring guide will provide an opportunity for overall assessment, the solutions section offers specific responses to the prompts in the CRA. For example, answers to problem sets or a rubric of what an essay should contain. You will have an opportunity to revisit these in the student handout step. Finally, now that your instruction plan is mostly complete, return to the overview and fill in the preparation and time frame sections, using your plans to help you determine the time and preparation steps needed for successful implementation of the CRA. Now that the instructor task information is complete, you can use this information to easily fill in the student notes section. All steps in the student notes section should match the instructional plan, and you need only shift the perspective from addressing an instructor to addressing a student. Refer to the existing CRAs for examples of this language. Remember that this section is designed to be copied and distributed to the students. Next, create or paste in any handouts the students will need to successfully complete the CRA. As you have seen from the existing CRAs, student handouts include reading samples, worksheets, problem sets, writing prompts, appendices, and most anything else the students may need to complete the CRA. Student handouts are also designed to be copied and distributed to the students, so you should consider what items are important for the students to look up on their own as part of research versus what items can be provided for them. Once you've completed the student handouts, refer back to the solutions section to make sure it adequately addresses all the activities in the student notes and student handouts, and revise as needed. Now your CRA is almost complete, so it is time to read through the full assignment, checking for errors and making sure the student notes fully match the instructional plan. Also, it is very important to revisit the objectives section and the CCRS and TEKS tables. All objectives and skills listed should be actively addressed in the CRA. If there are skills that are not addressed, you must adjust either the assignment or the indicated skills. Once you are confident that the skills tables accurately reflect the content of the CRA, you can complete the final section of the CRA, the scoring guide. Begin with the scoring guide on page 16 of the blank CRA template, not the scoring sheet on page 14. First, copy each skill and its corresponding numerical designation from the CCRS skill tables in your instructor task information in order into the scoring guide. Group skills according to their subsets, which are listed in the CCRS booklet. Then, copy or paraphrase the brief description of each skill in the CCRS booklet into the template. Finally, and most importantly, for each skill, fill in a brief description of how students will demonstrate proficiency. This may be challenging as it will require thinking about what students must do to demonstrate college and career readiness, not simple content mastery. This is likely a different scale than you are used to using to assess students' work, so use the CRA template and the CRAs to guide you when considering what a college-ready standard really is. In addition, remember to use the writing samples and explanations of varying college readiness levels available on the resources page of craftx.org. In general, a college-ready standard goes beyond simply touching upon a skill. College-ready students can consistently, with minimal prompting, demonstrate the skill in a variety of different activities. The goal of preparing college-ready students should be deep mastery of a skill, not just checking off a box. The craft team is also happy to provide feedback on college-ready standards if you desire. Then, if your CRA includes group work that will be evaluated separately, for example, a group presentation, indicate which skills apply to individual students and which apply to groups. See an example of this in the scoring guide for the Mathematics CRA, Let the Games Begin. After the scoring guide is complete, you can fill in the scoring sheet by copying and pasting items from the scoring guide as indicated. Each row should represent one subset of skills. Be sure to add the CRA title both at the top of the page and in the header. If there is group work that will be assessed separately, repeat this step for the group work scoring sheet. If there is no group work, you may delete the group work scoring sheet page. Finally, follow the directions on the final page of the CRA template to fill in the scoring instructions page. Use the cues to complete the scoring table. Then fill in the cut scores on the table at the bottom of the scoring sheet. Remember that grading is completely up to you, and you may view the college readiness level as independent from the grade you assign a student. We offer the table only as a suggestion to relate college readiness scores to grades out of 100. While you may assign a final grade that fits with your grading system, we encourage you to use the scoring sheet to help communicate to students where they excel and where they can improve. Now that you've completed designing your CRA and filling in the CRA template, we recommend that you ask a colleague, mentor, curriculum coach, or other peer to read through it. Ask them to proofread the CRA as well as look for continuity issues. We recommend that you start by giving them the student notes section and asking them if everything makes sense, since this is all your students will have. Then give them the entire CRA so they can review everything in context. Once your CRA has been reviewed, you are ready to implement it in your classroom. Especially during your first implementation, we recommend that you take notes throughout the CRA, paying particular attention to elements that go well, elements that don't, and why. After implementation, the final step in any good process is review and revision. Using your notes, revise any elements of the CRA that you think need to be edited before you use the CRA again in the future. When you complete this final step, you have a CRA that is ready for use and sharing with colleagues. Congratulations! We would like to leave you with just a few important things to remember as you use the CRA template to create your own CRAs. First, as you adapt CRAs to meet the needs of your students, remember that the existing CRAs have been designed to improve college and career readiness and rigorously field tested to ensure their usability and effectiveness. Use them to guide you. Second, consider the structure of CRAs. Most are designed such that content can be easily substituted, so you may not need to create a new CRA from scratch to address the content you have in mind. Also, scaffolding is key. Each of the CRAs offers students the opportunity to check skills in class discussions and small groups before moving into individual work. Third, remember the goal of improving college and career readiness. CRAs are meant to be challenging to prepare students for the kind of skills that will be expected of them when they reach college and the workforce. And finally, use what works for you. We know readiness, but you know your students. If you only have time for one activity out of a CRA, that's great too. Remember that the key is encouraging and assessing skill development, not just mastery of content knowledge. Now that you've completed this video, you're ready to create your own CRAs. We encourage you to check out the other resources available on craftx.org as you work to include CRA-style instruction in your classroom. Thank you for your time and commitment to improving college and career readiness.